Child Safety Tips: What every parent needs to know about missing children and sexual abuse. Prepared and presented by Jessica Martin, RVA Director of Special Education and Student Services, and RVA School Psychologist. Number 1. Talk to your child about safety in a non-threatening way. Preparing your child with how to handle situations safely will give your child more confidence and help them to not be fearful of those situations. When there is a plan, we all feel more prepared and able to handle challenges. It is important to use language that is appropriate for your child's developmental level and to not make the discussion such a big deal with so many details that you alarm your child. This is a challenging conversation to get just right, but prepare yourself with what you want to say and perhaps share your script with a trusted family member or friend for feedback on the appropriateness. Number 2. Encourage your child to trust their own intuition and be able to tell you when something is bothering them. Try to have as open of communication with your child as possible and encourage your child not to keep secrets. Really listen to your child when they tell you things. If your family is not currently very open with communication, you could start a new ritual such as sharing the high and low of each day at the dinner table. This allows your child a chance to learn to share the good and the bad in their life and hopefully will encourage future open conversation. Number 3. Let your child know their body belongs to them. Explain to your child that no one has the right to touch them inappropriately. If someone ever makes them feel uncomfortable, they should let you know immediately. It is important to teach your child the correct names for private parts so that they can communicate effectively should something ever occur. You might know the little code name they've made up for their private, but a police officer or social worker won't, and that could cause confusion in an investigation. If you have a younger child, explaining that bathing suits cover private parts and doing a colorful activity defining where private parts are can be helpful. Number 4. Establish rules pertaining to strangers. A stranger that may cause danger looks like any other person and will use several ways to lure your child. Some common examples are pretending to look for a lost animal, having candy or money, asking for directions, or telling the child they will hurt their family if they don't comply. Number 5. Tell your child that adults do not ask children for help. Your child should know that adults that are friendly and should be trusted do not need help from children. If an adult truly needs help, they will ask another adult. Your child should know that these situations should raise concern and how they should handle the situation. First of all, they should immediately scream no. Your child should run quickly in the opposite direction and try to find a trusted adult. They should never go into an unknown car with an adult. And if someone tries to grab them, they should scream, "This is not my parent," to attract attention. Number 6. Come up with a code word for your family. Explain to your child that if anyone approaches them that says they were sent by their parents or that they know their parents, they will know the code word. Your child should be comfortable asking the person what the code word is, and if the stranger does not know it, they are not to be trusted. Number 7. Never label clothing or belongings. Avoid putting your child's name on their clothing, backpack, books, etc. Although it is helpful for you, your child, and your child's other caregivers to identify what items are his, it also lets a stranger know what your child's name is, which could help the person gain your child's trust. Number 8. Make a plan for separation. Give your child instructions for what to do if they are separated from you. Discuss some different scenarios so that you and your child are on the same page about what the plan is. Some good ideas are to tell your child to go to a checkout counter, information desk, or to approach a security guard, police officer, or mother with other children if they are lost. Your child should tell the adult they approach that they are lost and looking for their parent. Number 9. Make sure your child knows their own personal information, such as their full name, your home address, your home phone number or cell numbers, parents' names, and their places of work. Also teach your child how to dial 911 with a regular phone and a cell phone. Number 10. Know your child's whereabouts and who their friends are. Absolutely know where your child is at all times. Get to know their friends and their friends' parents. Keep a list of friends, parents, addresses, and phone numbers. Pay special attention to friendships involving older children, which can lead to vulnerable situations. Get to know the coaches, clergy, teachers, and other adults your child is around. Show up to events and observe how these adults interact with your child. If anything feels off, talk to other parents and compare notes. If you use a babysitter, occasionally drop in unannounced. Make it clear that you do not want your child left with anyone else but that trusted person, as it is possible that a friend or family member of the caregiver could be dangerous. So what to do if your child does go missing? First, try not to panic. Check everywhere in the house first, then check with your neighbors and your child's friends. If you still cannot find your child, call the police immediately. There is no waiting period required to report a missing child to the police. Give the police a description of your child's characteristics, the clothing they were last seen in, and when and where you last saw him or her. What else can you do in this situation? When a child goes missing, parents can feel panicked and helpless. There are things you can do to aid in the authorities' efforts in finding your child. You could post signs around your neighborhood with your child's photo and vital information. Be sure to be persistent in your search efforts and keep hope alive that your child will be returned home safely. You can also request that your child's name be entered into the National Crime Information Center Missing Person File, which enables any law enforcement agency in the United States to identify them. You can also call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to have your child entered into their database. Because the first few hours of a child being missing are crucial and very emotional, you may want to think about something like the Child Print ID Kit. The kit helps parents collect their child's important personal and medical information so that it is ready in case of an emergency. There is space to record all pertinent information that the authorities will request if a child has gone missing, as well as space for a current photo, heavy-duty bags for hair samples and cheek swabs for DNA analysis, fingerprint card and fingerprinting ink strip, and dental charts to record baby and permanent teeth. Your local dentist might have these available, or you can order one for less than $5 at yoursafechild.com. If your child is recovered after being taken by a stranger, police will more than likely carry out an investigation of what occurred while your child was missing. Sometimes this involves abuse. There might be everyday situations that lead you to suspect that your child has been sexually abused as well. Because only 1 in 5 children who have been sexually abused report it, this indicates that you as a parent really need to watch for the warning signs. The following are some red flags of abuse. There are some physical signs, such as unexplained urinary infections, redness or swelling in genital areas, stomach aches, headaches, and sudden bedwetting. There are also behavioral signs, such as mood swings, angry outbursts, sleeping problems, a drop in grades, and sexual precociousness. The child might also have a sudden insistence on avoiding a particular person or situation. While none of these actions point specifically to sexual abuse, they may warrant a discussion with a psychologist or pediatrician who has been trained in child sexual abuse. If your child does confide in you about sexual abuse, there are some rules for talking about this with your child. Listening is the most important thing. Experts agree that incidents of sexual abuse reported by children are rarely false. The way you discuss an incident with your child will depend on their age and the circumstances of the situation, but there are a few guidelines that apply to all discussions. First, have the discussion in private. Be in tune to your body language. Some tips are to lean forward, make eye contact, and get at your child's eye level to help them feel comfortable with what they are sharing. Try not to look completely horrified or react dramatically. This could scare your child into silence. Immediately reassure your child that you believe him and that he did the right thing by telling you. Keep your questions of the incident open-ended. Say things like, "What did you do together?" instead of detailed, suggestive questions that could make an investigation tricky later on. Unfortunately, some parents are so shocked that they deny the abuse and say things like, "Uncle Tom would never do that," or they can blame the child by saying something like, "How could you let this happen?" or "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Or they can become hysterical and say things like, "I will kill him for doing that to you." Kids really do shut down and can even change their story out of fear. Reiterate that you are not upset with your child and that it is not their fault. Thankfully, research indicates that the majority of sexually abused kids grow up with no significant mental health or behavioral problems. Factors that can help this are social support from family and friends, strong self-esteem to start with, and a child's understanding that she was not to blame for the abuse. Here are 2 different resources that can help past and present victims of sexual abuse receive information via their hotlines or their websites. This presentation contained a lot of uncomfortable and emotional information. Nevertheless, please share this information with your spouse, family members, and others caring for your child. Being proactive will help keep your child safe and can avoid these frightening situations. Child safety tips. What every parent needs to know about missing children and